Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Firstly, how are you? How are you doing with the current situation? I am up and down, if I'm honest. Some days I'm kind of not too bad, and then other days things just seem to hit me again, and yeah, anxiety goes through the roof, or I cry all day, or I just feel completely numb to everything that's happening. But yeah, it's just a bit of a roller coaster at the moment, isn't it? So I wanted to start by saying that I am thinking of you all. I'm here if you need to chat to somebody, you know, put something. It's probably easier actually if you contact me on Instagram, because that's where I tend to see stuff like more quickly. But yeah, if you want to chat at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and just, yeah, let me know if you just need someone to chat to, because I think we all just need to be supporting each other at the moment, because it's just a weird old time. Anyway, I thought in today's video I would talk a little bit about coping with being housebound, because there's going to be a lot of people out there who are having to shield, which means that people are having to stay in the house 24/7, not able to go out, not able to do anything, and a lot of us are also self-isolating. I mean, the majority of us should be self-isolating, to be honest, only really going out to get shopping and medical supplies, and going for your kind of one exercise a day at the moment. For me, I am self-isolating, so I didn't get a letter to say that I need to shield, because my conditions don't kind of put me in that really vulnerable category. However, I am still in the vulnerable category, and with all my different health problems, I have just felt that it's best for me to self-isolate. The only time I've left the house in the last week is for a hospital appointment that my medical team said that I should be going to. But yeah, apart from that, I have been in the house, and it's difficult. Just to give you a little bit of background, I became ill when I was about 15, although I was born with my condition. It's just that's when things kind of started to go wrong. And since I got ill at 15, I have spent a good proportion of my time housebound, or kind of not completely housebound, but only able to leave the house to go to medical appointments. And it's really hard being housebound, and I guess for a long time it's not something that has been like widely talked about, because it's only been like a minority of people that have been housebound, and you kind of get forgotten about, I think, a bit, because you're stuck in the house. People kind of forget that you exist, whereas now obviously pretty much everybody is basically housebound, and it's being talked about all the time, which is a bit of a strange thing to experience when it's something that you've been going through for years. For suddenly everybody to be kind of commenting and talking about being housebound is strange. But I thought I would kind of use my experience of being housebound, because let's face it, it's never come into like being useful before. I thought I would use it to try and talk through a few different things that you can do just to kind of either cope with just the reality of being housebound, or things you can do to kind of entertain yourself, because sometimes it can be, I think, really strange if you've been so used to kind of going out and not spending a lot of time in your house. You can find it quite difficult to think all of a sudden, like, gosh, what can I do? Like, I've never had to be in my house before for that long. So I thought I'd just share like some of the things that I've picked up over the many years of being housebound, and hopefully they can kind of help you if you're just not really sure how to cope with what's going on at the moment. Obviously, you know, I can't make it better, but hopefully some of these things will just help to pass the time, to help get you through this like difficult period. So I've got a few things to share with you, and I'm just going to kind of list them and talk a little bit about each one and why I think it would be helpful. So my first piece of advice for if you are housebound is to make sure you stick to a routine. I know sort of when I first became housebound, routine just seemed to go out the window. I was kind of staying in my pajamas a lot. I was sleeping a lot more. I was kind of doing different things at different times of the day that I wouldn't necessarily have done, and some of that was because of being ill, and that was just how it had to happen. But I did find that losing my routine made things so much more difficult. And obviously your routine is going to have to change if you are, you know, all of a sudden made housebound, you're not able to go out to work and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really important to try and set up some sort of routine. So for example, set yourself a kind of like wake up time. It doesn't necessarily have to be the one that you normally go with. If you're, you know, if you've not got any kind of commitments, then yes, you can have a bit of a lie-in. But I would just say, like, make sure that you are setting an alarm to get up at some point. I also think it's really important to get changed out of your pyjamas, whether that is just changing into a new pair of day pyjamas or changing into some like comfy clothes. I have certainly found it like really helpful to not stay in the same pair of pyjamas all day, because it just makes me feel a bit more, I don't know, it seems to make me feel more lethargic, and my mood seems to dip if I'm not kind of going through like the routine of getting dressed. And also it starts to make it more difficult to sleep at night, because you haven't got that like that difference between night and day. It all just starts to blend into one. So definitely make sure you're getting dressed, make sure you're having regular meal times. You need to obviously still make sure that you're kind of eating properly. I know that I have kind of slipped into not eating particularly well, not eating, you know, very many fruit and vegetables and stuff, and it's just, it makes you feel very like sluggish and not very good. So if you can, I know obviously shopping is really difficult at the moment, but if you can, make sure you're kind of getting healthy meals and like a varied diet, and also sticking to like meal times and not snacking too much during the day. Obviously, you know, don't stop having snacks, but I know it's very easy to just kind of graze if you're at home, and it just makes you end up feeling more like sluggish and down about yourself in the long run. So try and like assign snack times. And yeah, just try and like plan things throughout the day so that you've got some sort of routine that you're sticking to every day, because that will definitely help you to kind of keep going and to feel a little bit better about yourself, and to just help your mood a little bit, to kind of feel like you kind of get up and you know what you're kind of expecting from the day. I have just found routine to be incredibly helpful. So my next tip is something that has only been brought in, I think, fairly recently, when like all of this stuff kind of started happening, and it is to have a go with Netflix party. Obviously you need to have Netflix, and the person that you are having the party with needs to have Netflix, but there is something that you can now, I'm not sure if you download it or whether it's just a web app, the kind of thing that you go through. I'll link it below so that you can kind of check it out. Basically it means that you and your friend or family member, whoever it is, can watch the same Netflix show together and kind of talk about it. I mean, you used to be able to do this in a kind of informal way, but this is an actual kind of program now that means you can kind of click to start it together and you can talk about it as it's going on. And I think it's just a nice way of kind of feeling like you've still got that like little bit of social interaction with somebody. I had been really looking forward to going to the cinema. I hadn't been since before I had my operation, and now obviously can't do that. And I think doing this kind of Netflix party would just be kind of like something that's a little bit similar. Obviously it's not going to the cinema, but you can sit and watch a film with somebody and chat about it, and that's kind of what you would probably do if you'd been to a cinema. So it's just finding other ways, isn't it, to try and find like that kind of social interaction that you're missing. So yeah, I'm definitely going to kind of check it out and see if there's anyone that I can have a Netflix party with, and yeah, I'd be really interested if you guys have been using it, what you think of it. My next tip is another one for kind of keeping up social interaction, because I just think it's really, really important, especially when you're not seeing a lot of people face to face, and that is to have Skype or FaceTime dates, or use Zoom or something like that. There's so many different programs now that you can use for face-to-face calls, and you could do this with friends, with family, with whoever you want, with a partner if you're not like together. And all you would do, you know, is do a FaceTime call with them, and you could both just be having a cuppa and a chat. You could each be having a meal and feel like you're having dinner together. You could each, you know, get a nice drink and have like a drink like you would in the pub and have a good chat like that. And obviously it's not the same as kind of doing that face to face, but I've been FaceTiming quite a few people like recently that I haven't been able to meet up with, and I just find it so much better than trying to talk on the phone. I'm not a big fan of talking on the phone. I don't know why, I just prefer to see somebody's face. And so doing like FaceTime and stuff for me has been really, really helpful. And it's not something that I had done until the coronavirus and stuff started happening. Like, I'd done it with family, but that was about it. And now I don't know why I didn't do it before. Because of all the time I've been housebound, it would have really helped me. But yeah, I had a FaceTime date with a friend last weekend. We were meant to be meeting up and then we had to cancel it. So her and her kids FaceTimed me, and we had a good old chat for like 45 minutes or something like that. And it was just really nice to have that kind of almost face-to-face contact and to feel like I was actually like sitting there chatting to a friend rather than just talking to a voice. So I would definitely recommend, you know, make things up, try and like be a bit creative with your FaceTime dates, and yeah, try and feel like you're kind of really going out for a little date with somebody, but obviously from the comfort of your own home. And yeah, let me know some of your FaceTime dates, like what you've been doing, because I think it's really fun to kind of share how we've been creative, what we've been doing, and it gives other people ideas as well. So this tip is kind of, it fits in with the last tip, but it is to also look into doing group video calls. I had never realised that you could do this, and maybe that's just showing how like bad I am with technology. But basically I run a mental health peer support group, and we meet once a month, and obviously that's having to stop. And at this point in time, like, so many people are really needing mental health support. So I was trying to work out like how can I still like support people in this group and myself. And I was kind of chatting with people, and they recommended this app called Zoom, which is a like group video conferencing app. And so we have kind of set up doing group, like virtual group chats on Zoom, and I think you can do them on Skype as well, but I'm not sure, I haven't tried that one. But definitely on Zoom we've like done a practice one, and it was really good. I think we had like 5 or 6 of us in a group, and we were kind of all chatting, and yeah, it kind of just felt like being in our normal group. You could see everyone's different faces, and yeah, I think it's a really good thing to look into. So if you have sort of like groups of friends and you all want to chat together, definitely look into something like Zoom, because it's really easy to use. I managed to do it okay, and you know, that must mean it's okay. But also if you're part of any kind of like support groups or anything like that, see if there's an option to do them as a group chat, because I think it's just a really good way of kind of making sure you're still getting that support, but obviously without having to leave your house. So my next tip is something that I haven't particularly done in my kind of years of being housebound, and I should have said this at the beginning, but a lot of these tips are going to depend on your level of health. Obviously if you're isolating because you're really ill, a lot of these things you might not be able to do, and also if you're already isolating and housebound anyway because of chronic illness, things are going to probably be a little bit different. But if you're kind of just like sort of self-isolating for this period and you're kind of healthy and doing okay, I would really recommend like making a list of things you want to get done around the house. As I said, I haven't massively done this just because of being housebound for a long time, and it being because of a health problem that kind of stops me doing stuff. But I think it's a really good idea. I mean, I've tried to do it a little bit, to have little goals in my head of like things that I want to get done. But if you're really wanting to try and like make the most of some of this time, definitely make a list of like all of those jobs that you've kind of had in your head and thought, I really need to do that, but I haven't got time to do it. Things like decluttering, tidying, cleaning, doing stuff in the garden, I mean, there's so much stuff that I could be doing and want to try and get done, and I will hopefully have a little bit more time, obviously, because a lot of my hospital appointments are being cancelled and I'm not going out to them. I might have a little bit more time at home to try and do some of those kind of things. But I think it's just a really good way of kind of getting everything down on paper and helping you to work out all these different things that you want to try and get done. And that doesn't mean that you have to be doing all of this stuff like 24/7. I don't think anyone, unless you want to, anyone would expect you to be productive 24/7. Things are very strange and scary at the moment, and it's quite all right if you have days where you just about manage to get down to the sofa and put the telly on and that's it, and you're just surviving. That's absolutely fine as well. But if you're kind of finding yourself getting bored and you want stuff to do, sit down and make a list of all of those jobs and then work out what you can get done. Also, it's a good, I personally like writing things down because I like ticking them off, because then it makes me feel like I've achieved something. So yeah, let me know what jobs you're trying to get done around the house. I've got plenty, as I said. I've got a lot of like decluttering and tidying that needs to be done. I don't know how much I'll get done. As I said, like, I still obviously have my health problems, so I'm having to pace myself still, and things aren't that much different with regards to being housebound for me. But I still have got this list of things that I'm trying to do a little bit at a time, and, you know, just try and be a little bit productive. Another idea of something that you could do during this time is to read more. Obviously, this will depend on if you enjoy reading. If you don't enjoy reading, then yeah, it's not for you. Although you could give audiobooks a try. There's plenty of stuff like online that you can listen to and podcasts. But I have definitely kind of fallen out of love a little bit with reading. Not out of love, like, I would love to get back to it. I just haven't had the time or the energy to kind of do it. So something I do want to try and do in this time is to try and build reading back into my routine again. I've got so many books that I want to read, and the book I'm reading at the moment, like, I want to finish it, and I just feel like maybe it's a good time for me to just find a space in my day where I can sit and read and not feel guilty about it, because I do, like, if I sit and read during the day, I do feel like I should be doing something else. But actually, I think at the moment it's a really good way to try and just switch your brain off for a few minutes and escape from everything else that's going on in the world. And so yeah, I think that's something that I will be really, really trying to do, just to give me a bit of time to try and relax a little bit, because at the moment I just seem to feel like constantly anxious, and reading is one of those things that just gives me an escape from all of that. Another thing that you can do, and I kind of put this one down and I was like, if I do this, I feel like I'm not being productive at all. But then I did say, you don't always have to be productive, and I think that's something that, like, we need to make sure we kind of keep telling ourselves, because I think if we try and just be productive and be perfect at this kind of self-isolation thing, it's not going to help our mental health. So something that I will be doing is to make a list of everything that I want to binge watch or watch. I have got so much stuff that I've recorded on TV that I've never sat down and watched. We've got Netflix, I've got stuff on there I want to see, Amazon Prime, and also Disney Plus has just come out, and there's, yeah, so many things that I would really like to sit down and watch. And I think if you can sit down and just make a list of some of the things you want to see, then you can start working through it. And yeah, even if, like, you've been productive for most of the day, it's just nice to be able to sit down and just relax a little bit. And there's just so much out there, whether that's stuff you've recorded or on a subscription service. And I've always kind of been like saying to myself, oh, it's such a shame, like, you know, I've got all these things I want to see and I haven't managed to watch it yet. So I think now would be a really, really good time to, yeah, start working through that binge watch list. I'm particularly excited about Disney Plus, because obviously there's a lot of new stuff on there that I've never seen. So I will definitely be doing this tip. Another thing that you could be doing while you're housebound is to do some crafting. Again, this will depend on if crafting is your kind of thing. I have always really enjoyed doing craft stuff, and again have never really managed to find the time to do it. So I feel like now is a good time to try and maybe do a little bit of craft stuff again. I was doing a Project Life scrapbook and it's taking me ages, but it's something that I would quite like to maybe try and do a few more pages of. I'm not going to try and set myself anything huge or anything that's kind of, you know, going to just put more pressure on me, but you know, just giving myself a bit of like permission to actually do some craft stuff and not feel like I should be doing something else. So yeah, let me know if you're going to be doing anything like crafty and what that is. As I said, I'll probably be doing a little bit of scrapbooking, maybe a bit of colouring. I don't know, I haven't got a huge amount of like stuff that I could be doing, but those are two things that I really enjoy. And again, it's quite a nice escape for your brain, or a way to relax when things are just feeling a bit scary at the moment. Another idea for you to pass the time while you're housebound is to do a jigsaw. Obviously when you're a child you do jigsaws and you tend to enjoy them, and then I feel like a lot of us as adults just end up kind of growing out of it and forgetting about it. And actually I quite enjoy doing jigsaws. I've got a few, and we've got one of those like big jigsaw boards so that you kind of can put it away without like, you know, having to break it all up. And I just think they're a really good way of escaping from the real world for a bit. I mean, there are so many different jigsaws on Amazon if you're looking for one to kind of try. They've got ones with like more pieces, less pieces, depending on how old you are and like your level of jigsaw ability. I have got a couple of Disney ones that I am really looking forward to trying. My dad keeps saying we must get our jigsaws out, and yeah, I haven't really done a jigsaw properly for ages, so I think now is a really good time to just get one out, leave it somewhere where I can kind of keep going back to it. You know, you don't necessarily have to sit down for ages and do it. You can just sit down for a few minutes, do a few pieces, and then like keep coming back to it throughout the day. So yeah, let me know if you're going to be doing jigsaws, because I think I'm going to use this time to finally start my jigsaw. Another tip for getting through being housebound, and it's something that I've seen quite a few people on Instagram do, is to make yourself an upbeat playlist. You can do it on Spotify or on your computer or whatever you're going to use. I've seen quite a few people doing this, and then every morning they're like playing some of the songs and just having a bit of a dance around, and I think that's a really nice idea. It just helps you to kind of start the day feeling a little bit good, and you can, you know, have a dance party with people you know, or you can put it on Instagram and ask other people to kind of share their videos with you. And I just think it's a fun way. I mean, I'm not going to be doing a huge amount of dancing because I can't like stand up walk without my crutches, but you know, I could be doing a little bit of chair dancing and put some of like, I don't know, like the really old classics on from like the 90s or something. I mean, I love music and I think it's a great way to kind of lift your mood. So yeah, I would definitely recommend putting yourself together a self-isolation playlist. Just something that you can have on that's going to lift your mood a bit, make you feel a little bit happy, and just give you something to have a little boogie to. Another thing that helps me feel a little bit better while I'm housebound is to make sure that I pamper myself a bit. Sometimes I find it hard to feel like I kind of deserve a bit of pampering. I don't know, I'm kind of getting better at like this way of thinking now, but certainly in the past I've kind of felt like, well, I haven't been doing anything all day, I've been resting all day, I don't feel like I deserve to have some pampering. But actually anybody deserves a bit of pampering, and if it's going to make you feel better or more relaxed, then that's a great idea. So whether you have a nice bubble bath or a shower and just make yourself feel a little bit more clean, use a face mask or a foot mask, whether you paint your nails, use those things that you have been saving for a special occasion. And I know we all do it, because I have got a drawer full of stuff that I've kind of thought, oh, I don't want to use that now because I'd quite like to wait until it's like, you know, a special occasion to use it. And actually, I don't know, I feel like this whole situation has, well, it's taught me anyway, that you shouldn't be waiting, like leaving things for special occasions. You should just use it now, because we don't know what our life is going to be like, and things can change in the blink of an eye. So yeah, use those special things that you've been waiting to use and just make yourself feel good. Have a bit of chill time and pamper time, and I don't know, I think it helps you to kind of take care of yourself and just make yourself feel that you deserve some self-care, and that, you know, you're doing a really good job of getting through this really difficult time. And yeah, you deserve some pampering, and you deserve some looking after. Something that has really helped me when I've been housebound in the past, and still now actually, is writing letters. I first started writing letters when I first got ill, because I joined a charity for people with the illness that we thought I had, and they set up a lot of like pen pals. I'd never had pen pals before, but I started writing letters, and it was amazing. It gave me something to look forward to. Seeing like that letter drop through the post box, letterbox in the morning, with my name on it, was just, yeah, it was amazing. I used to love waiting for the postman to see if I was going to get a letter that day. And when you're stuck in the house a lot, it can be difficult to find things to look forward to. And yeah, one of the things that I really, really looked forward to was getting post. So I don't know whether there's different schemes online that you can look at, but just write to people that you know. Write to those people that you can't see at the moment, whether that's family or friends, or ask on Instagram. Obviously be careful with giving your address out, but ask around if people would like to be pen pals with you. And there's just something about receiving a letter in the post with a nice little envelope with your name on it that just makes you feel really good. Obviously it's going to be slightly difficult if you can't get out of the house at all, but there may be people around you who are kind of going out shopping who could pop a letter in the post box for you. So do ask around, because it makes probably one of the biggest differences for me, like for being housebound. If you kind of don't know who to write to, there is a charity called Post Pals. My friend Vicky runs it, and it's a charity for children and young people with really serious illnesses, and they basically ask people to send these children post to make them smile. There's a website which I will link below, and you can look through all the different children that are on the website, and they all have a forwarding address that you can send something to, but it also tells you some of their interests and things that they like, things that they don't like, so that you can send them a little card or a little letter and just brighten their day. And even if you're not going to get any kind of response, it just makes you feel like you're doing something good for somebody else. So even if you can't write letters to people that you know and you're not going to receive letters, I would really, really recommend looking on Post Pals and trying to write to somebody on there, because I'm guessing that a lot of the children and families that are on that website at the moment are going to be finding this time like exceptionally hard, and receiving a letter or a card could, yeah, really make their day. My next tip is something else that has really helped me through chronic illness and being housebound, and that is to spend some time working on your blog or YouTube channel. Obviously I have a blog and a YouTube channel. I didn't before I got ill. It's something that's kind of come out of me being ill and being at home a lot. You might be watching this and don't have either of those things, and you know, that's okay. You can, if you're kind of interested, give it a go. Like now's as good a time as any to start a blog or a YouTube channel. Let me know if you need any tips. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I can try and help. But yeah, I have found having a blog and a YouTube channel has just given me a bit of a purpose and something to kind of incorporate into my routine. So a lot of my routine includes filming and editing and writing and taking pictures, and it just makes me feel like I'm doing something productive when I'm having to stay at home and, you know, not feeling particularly well, not able to go out and do like traditional work like other people are doing. It just gives me something that I can do, that I can kind of feel an achievement for. So yeah, look into it. I mean, it doesn't have to be like really professional, like as I can testify, but yeah, just look at like setting up a blog. It's really easy to do it on like Blogger or WordPress, or setting up a YouTube channel and filming a little video. Just something that you can be a little bit creative with, and yeah, it's absolutely been a lifesaver for me. The next thing that I think is really important to do while you're housebound or socially isolating is to talk about your feelings, whether that is with the people around you, whether that is through ringing a charity helpline, so the Samaritans or Mind or anyone like that, or whether it's chatting to friends through FaceTime. I just think it's really, really important to be talking about how this is making you feel. It's a difficult one because you kind of feel like you don't want to moan because things are so much worse for a lot of other people, but it is really important, no matter how insignificant you feel your problems are, to talk about them with somebody, because bottling stuff up just makes you feel so much worse. And especially at the moment, you will find that you will talk to somebody and they will probably be feeling very similar. So it will help you to feel that you're not on your own with feeling anxious or scared or upset or frustrated or angry or however you're feeling. Just get those feelings out, and if you can't talk to someone, write it down. Anything to kind of get them out of your head and just offload them a bit. But I would say talking to a person is probably the better option, just because you get feedback. And yeah, if you're really struggling with your mental health at the moment, please do reach out to, you know, the Samaritans or Mind, or to Beat if you've got an eating disorder. I will put all the details below as well, because I think there is going to be a huge mental health fallout from this. It's affecting a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and it's going to be very difficult to support this amount of people, I think, and the government are going to have to put some more funding into mental health care when we get to that point. But for now, I think the best things you can be doing are talking, and talking as much as you need to whoever you need to. My next tip for being housebound is to exercise your brain as well as your body. Obviously, it's quite important to try and get some sort of exercise while you're housebound, and again, this is going to be very different for different people depending on your level of health. I struggle to get much exercise at all. I have to use a wheelchair most of the time to get out. With having my leg operation, I'm really immobile, but I still am trying to do some physio exercises and some stretches, just some sort of movement to kind of feel like I am still moving my body. But there's so much more out there for like different abilities. There's the Joe Wicks workouts, that's a mouthful, that are for kids, but adults can do them as well. There are so many online workout like tutorials on YouTube, or you know, we can still go out for a walk at the moment, go out for a bike ride or a run, whatever it is that kind of you feel is best for you. I think it's just important to try and get some sort of movement with your body, but also to exercise your mind. It's very easy when you're housebound for your mind to kind of go to mush a little bit, and I have certainly found that. So I think it's really important to find things to do that are going to kind of keep your mind busy, whether that's doing a crossword, or whether it's reading, or whether it's doing a Sudoku, or anything that's any kind of puzzle that might keep your mind going, or writing, anything that's just going to kind of keep your mind active. Because as I say, it's very easy when you're housebound to let those kind of things slip, and you end up just feeling like you can't really think properly. So make sure you're exercising both your body and your mind while you're housebound. And then my last tip for you for while you're housebound, and I mean, this is fairly relevant now, but you could still use it at other points in time as well, is to look for ways that you can help others. I mean, especially now, there are a lot of people that need help. A lot of people are having to shield themselves and are not able to get out to get the basic necessities. And I don't know about you, but in our neighbourhood, a group has come together to try and help those people who are self-isolating. But there are so many different ways you can help, whether that is going and getting shopping for somebody, whilst obviously keeping yourself safe. Do it as part of a group if you can, but also look at, you know, your immediate neighbours and see what help they need. If you're not able to get out, there's still things that you can be doing. A lot of people just need someone to talk to, so you can register. There's like an NHS volunteer scheme, but also there's local ones as well, where you can just register to talk on the phone to somebody who just needs a listening ear. Again, like with the post pals, sending people letters and cards. I know a lot of like nursing homes and places like that are asking people to send things like postcards to the residents to kind of try and help break the isolation a little bit. There are so many different ways that you can look to help other people, and that is something that has really helped me through being housebound. Helping with like sending stuff to the post pals has made me feel like I can do something, because when you're housebound you kind of feel quite helpless. And I know I've looked at situations in the past and just thought, I don't know what I can do to help. And there's always something that you can do. Even if you can't go out of the house, you can still like help with things from home, whether it's helping with the admin of a group that are organising like deliveries to local people. There's always something you can do, so definitely look into like what's happening in your community, what kind of like volunteers that they're looking for, but also, yeah, look wider. If there's kind of people that need letters or cards or a listening ear on the phone, just have a look around. There's so much at the moment. I'll put a few links in the description bar to help you kind of find things, but your local community is probably the best place to start. So that's all the tips that I have got for you today for being housebound. I mean, there are so much more that I could have said, but I've just kind of tried to come up with a few things to just pass on to you. I hope you found it helpful if you're self-isolating, or if you're just having to stay in the house a lot. Even if you're able to go out to the shops, hopefully these things will still be helpful. If you have found it helpful and you'd like to see more videos from me, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the notification bell, that means you'll get notified every time I upload a video. Also leave me a comment, let me know what you guys are up to at the moment. How are you spending your isolation? Have you got any kind of other tips for being housebound that you could share with us? And also let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see me do. I'm kind of thinking of doing maybe one about sort of focusing just on your mental health while you're housebound, and also maybe some ways that you can kind of contact like the outside world without having to go out, because there's so many like virtual experiences that I thought I could possibly share some of them with you. But if there's any other things that you'd like to see me do, either that are related to what's going on at the moment or things that are totally unrelated, please do let me know. Do also follow me on social media. My links are in the description below, but I'll also put my Instagram and Twitter up here. I'm mainly on Instagram. I do get on Twitter sometimes as well, but I do like to kind of update my Instagram stories regularly and chat to people on there. So do come over and have a chat if you are looking for someone to talk to or just someone else to follow. And yeah, I'll be really pleased to see you over there. And I will see you in another video very soon. Stay safe. Bye.